All right, so next up is going to be this bass right here, the Yamaha BBP35. Yamaha also makes a BBP34, which I'll let you guys guess what the difference between the two is. This is a 5-string, the 34 is a 4-string, and that's the only two differences. This is Yamaha's top of the line consumer bass that's not a a signature edition, like a Nathan East or something like that. This is just something that you can just buy anywhere at just about any music store that sells Yamaha, but it's actually pretty special, and we'll talk about why. So the BBP35, what does that stand for? Well, BB, as you can see on the headstock, stands for broad bass. And the reason why Yamaha calls this bass a broad bass is because it has both P pickups and J pickups, so you can get a wide variety of sound out of it. You can get a P bass tone, you can get a quasi jazz bass tone, you can run just the bridge pickup and get that burpy, kind of jocko-y kind of sound out of it if that's your thing. This is a single coil pickup. To me, it's Yamaha's only mistake with this bass. I like to favor the P pickup because I like the sound. I'm a P bass guy, as you guys know. I have two P basses over there. So I love P basses, and I like more of that P bass grind and mid punch. So I favor that pickup, but when you do that, it unbalances the pickups, and I do get single coil hum, especially around all these computers. I mean, I've got this, basically the Quad Cortex is a computer. I have a computer over there, my Mac Studio. I have my mixing panel. I have these two giant studio monitors that also put out interference. Plus I always have a cell phone laying around, which is always putting out EMI. So it's a noisy environment here, and I can definitely tell that single coil pickup is picking up a lot of just EMI in the room. So I have reached out to Nordstrom and ordered a split coil 5-string pickup. The cool thing about this particular line of broad basses, and Yamaha's been making the broad bass for years, but the difference between this one and the old one is this one takes standard Fender-sized 5-string pickups and P pickups if you wanted to replace it, but the P sounds great. This actually sounds great. The pickups sound fantastic. So let's move on to something else I love about this bass. I love that it's passive. The other broad basses that Yamaha makes do have active preamps in them, and they're cheaper than this, and they're made, I want to say either Indonesia or China. This one is made in Japan, and the quality of this bass is second to none. It is the highest quality instrument that I own. I mean, the finish, the fit of everything, the way these pots feel, they're very heavy and fluid feeling, like they won't move on their own. They're just really nice quality. Little touches like that Yamaha logo up there is not printed on the bass. It is an actual, little medallion that's stuck on there. It's just little tiny things like that make this bass so good. And as you can see, it's made in Japan. The tuners are excellent. They're open tuners. This neck is amazing. It's a 1, 2, 3, 5-piece neck that runs down. The other interesting thing about this particular bass, and I don't want to bang it off the ceiling, is the way the neck attaches. So you've got 4 standard screws, and then you've got these that are in at a 45-degree angle, and they pull the neck back into the neck pocket. Then you come down here, because Yamaha obviously likes angles. I'm going to try to get a shot of this. But your string through does not come from the bottom of the bass. It comes from the back. It's angled so that when your strings come through, they don't come through at such a sharp angle. You'll also notice on the bridge, if I can get it to focus, that the B string has a different saddle. And that's so you get a very sharp, crisp breakover angle on that string so that your B string sounds really good. Now, everything on this bass works. It's not a gimmick. I can actually tell a difference. But the B string on this bass, I will say, is not the best of the best. My moonshine bass over here, I think because of the construction and the quality of wood it's made out of, has the best B string. This one is a Warmoth bass, and it has a good B string, even with flats. And my G&L rather, has a great B string on it. This one is good. It's not bad, don't get me wrong, but out of the 4 or 5 string basses I have, this one has I would say the weakest sounding B string, and it could be because of the pickup configuration. Maybe when I get the Nordstrom pickup in, it'll fix that. But the body is certainly very resonant. They treat this bass by bombarding it with sound after it's built. It's supposed to age the instrument. I think that's probably snake oil, but at any rate, it really does sound good. It's a great sounding bass. Obviously, it has a rosewood board on a 5-piece maple neck, and it's just a really great instrument. So let's hear how it sounds. All right, so here's the Yamaha BBP35. Again, one of my favorite basses. This bass is probably, of all the basses I have, and I have 9 of them, the one that I reach for the most, because it is a bass that lives up to its name. It's a broad bass. It covers a broad spectrum of things. Like I said, it can be a P bass. It can have a jazz bass sound. It can have that thin burpy sound that can almost cop like a Music Man, kind of, sort of. It's also 5-string, so I have the extended range. I started out on a 5-string, so I had been playing for probably a decade before I started getting into 4 strings. And still on a live gig, when I'm just in muscle memory mode, I will reach for that B string that's not there, or I will start a song, on the wrong string because I'm, muscle memory. I go, if I want to play a C, that's 3 strings down, right, from the top. So when I run my hand across, that should be a C. Well, on a 4-string, it's not, and it can really throw me off. So anyway, let's hear this bass. And again, I'm going to start out with just the straight DI signal in. Because this is a passive bass, it's not a hot instrument. It is going to probably be down on volume compared to when we go through the preamps. Sometimes that affects our perception of sound. We think louder sounds better. So if you took the same sound and you played it quiet and then you turned the volume up and played it again, most people would say the louder clip sounded better, even though it was exactly the same tone. So try to be cognizant of that, because the direct signal will be quieter. And then we'll go from there. So let me set up the sound samples, turn off my mic, and give you the direct feed. So there's the sound examples for the BBP35. My apologies for, I was getting some distortion when I was playing through the punch line, and I didn't see it hitting the clipping light on my mixer, so I don't know what that was about. Maybe it was just the speakers. I've got it running through my monitors. What I did in those clips was I tried to play the way I normally play, which is the P pickup rolled all the way on, and the bridge pickup, the jazz pickup, rolled back just a little bit, maybe like a quarter turn. That was the first example. Then I turned the jazz pickup all the way off and just played the P pickup. Also, I tried to hit some of those lower notes so you can kind of hear the definition of the low strings. It's not that it's a bad sounding B string, but it's just not as good as the other ones that I have. I don't know why that is. I've tried different strings on it. But in a live scenario, and I just played this thing live yesterday, it's huge. I played a song in E, and I, that was my rate right there on the low B, and it sounded fine. Well, I mean, it's an E on the B string. So I really enjoy this bass. If I go play a gig out somewhere, right now, this is probably my #1 instrument. Just one of the things you can't convey on a YouTube video is how an instrument feels and responds, and how it resonates when you play it. And this bass feels like a much more expensive bass than it is. I have played boutique instruments that were $8,000 or $9,000, $10,000 basses that didn't feel any better than this bass, as far as construction, as far as the way the neck is shaped, just the quality of materials. The tuners are really good. The bridge, even though it's just a bent steel bridge, it's a standard, there's no snake oil, it's just a regular bridge, but the way they set it up with the way the strings come through at this angle, the 45-degree screws in the back, it is passive, but the way, the access door in the back, I have opened it up. I won't do that now, but the wiring in there is impeccable. It's not just a squirrel's nest of wires in there. This is a really well-made instrument that I cannot recommend enough. If you're facing a situation where you only can have one instrument, maybe you're new and you're just starting out, go buy a Yamaha BB series bass. Doesn't have to be the BBP, which is the broad bass pro model, which is considerably more expensive than its offshore made cousins. This one's made in Japan. The other ones, I believe, are made in Indonesia or China. I'd have to look it up. But I think they have a 734 and a 735, which is still a 5-string, still uses the same features as this bass, but it's an active bass. And it's really good as well, and it's probably half the price of this instrument, and sounds just as good. And they also have a couple of other lower series as well that are also fantastic instruments, but this one really is, there's something special about this bass. I absolutely love it, and this would be one of the last basses I would ever sell. I enjoy it that much. So that's going to wrap up the review of this one, guys. Thank you for watching, and see you out on the interwebs.